Hello, welcome back. If you're new, my name is Megan. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. I'm a little late to this video trend, but better late than never, right? So I've got 25 books here that I want to read in 2025. I've split them up into some different categories. We got series, graphic novels, poetry, my 5-star predictions, and new releases. First category we're going to hit is my 5-star predictions. The first one I got is Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This is a dark romance about a stalker obsession love story. I think that out of all of the dark romance I've read so far, the obsessive stalker is my favorite trope. So I've heard really good things about this one, and I'm excited to jump into it, and I hope that it's a 5-star read. Next up, we got Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb. This is a fantasy story about humans and dragons not getting along. Over the centuries, the humans are trying to mend that relationship with the dragons. And when I did buy this, the Barnes & Noble worker did tell me that he loved it and really recommends it to anyone who loves fantasy, so I'm excited to jump into this. Then we got Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a science fiction novel about this man who wakes up to a life that he doesn't know, and he is trying to figure out how to get back to the life that he knows, and maybe figuring out which life is true and which one is not. Everyone who I've heard who's read this absolutely loves it. I plan to do a buddy read with my boyfriend, and I am super excited to finally get into this. My fourth pick is going to be Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Obviously, Emily Henry is a very loved author. I've only read one book by her, People We Met on Vacation, and I didn't love it as much as everyone else seems to love Emily Henry. So this book synopsis seems to be something I would enjoy a lot. So if I am going to be on the Emily Henry train, this one will probably get me there. So I'm predicting it's going to be a 5-star. I don't know much about the synopsis of this book. They're both authors, or maybe one is an author, one is an editor, and they keep running into each other and fall in love. Last up in my 5-star predictions, I've got Heavenbreaker by Sarah Wolf. This one is a fantasy story about this girl who is getting vengeance against the people who have wronged her in her life, and she is just kind of on a war path to make them pay. The next category we're jumping into is graphic novels. I'm going to be pretty short with the synopsis as I don't know much about them. About a lot of books, really. I don't love reading the synopsis all the way through just because sometimes I feel like it can spoil a little bit. I do the same thing with movie trailers. When I feel like I watch a movie trailer, I'm like, oh, I just saw the whole movie right there. No need to watch the whole thing. So that's kind of the same thing with synopsis. So the first one I got is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. So this one is a Hades Persephone retelling or inspired graphic novel series. So I've heard great things about it and can't wait to jump into this series. Next up, we got The Moth Keeper by Kay O'Neill. This one I got for Christmas, which I'm super excited about. This one is about this girl who is in charge of taking care of the moths, the moon moths, and I'm sure she's going to run into some issues. She's going to take on a lot of responsibility and kind of her journey with that. Next up, we got Wires and Nerve by Marissa Meyer. This is the graphic novel series that is a part of the Lunar Chronicles, which is the Cinder series by Marissa Meyer. And this is either the Cinder series redone in graphic novel version, or it's a continuation after the series is done. Not sure which, but I will find out when I read it. I am very excited for this one as I loved the Cinder series, and I'm excited to either relive it with this or keep going with the stories and following my favorite characters in there. Fourth up is Teen Titans Starfire by Cami Garcia and Gabrielle Piccolo. This one is the 5th book in the Teen Titans series. I have read the first 3, so I'm hoping to get to the 4th and 5th one this year. I think setting a goal for myself of 1 graphic novel a month is very reasonable and definitely can be done, and this one will definitely be one of the ones I pick up. The 5th book I want to read for graphic novels is Imbalance by Faith Erin Hicks. This is the 6th book in the Avatar: The Last Airbender graphic novel series, and I have finished the first 4. I'm currently reading the 5th, and I don't own this one yet, but whenever I'm, I guess, done with my book buying ban, I will probably pick this one up and finish out the series. Our next section is new releases coming out in 2025. My first one I have is Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear. This is the 10th book in the Wayward Children series. I have read all of the previous books in the series, and this one comes out, or it already came out, on January 7th. This series follows along with these kids who end up falling or going through these doorways to other worlds. And when they're in that other world, sometimes they stay and sometimes they get kicked out. And if they are kicked out of that world, they find themselves back in normal life where they go to the school for wayward children, and it's them kind of coping and learning how to be a normal person again. Second up, we got The Starlight Heir by Emily Howard. This one also came out on January 7th. This is a fantasy novel about our main character. She gets an invitation to be a potential bride to the crown prince. But when she gets there, it's not the prince that catches her attention, but his half-brother. There's also some magical abilities in this world, so they are going to go on some magical adventures. Next one up, coming out in January, is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This one is probably the most anticipated book on almost everyone's TBR. This one comes out January 21st. This one is the 3rd installment in the Imperium series. This one, the first one, is Fourth Wing. This is a fantasy romance involving dragons and a war college and magical abilities, and I am beyond excited to read this 3rd book. Can't really say much else about the plot because I don't want to give away any plot points. If you're a fantasy reader, pick it up. Pick up the series, it's so good. 4th on my list is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This is the new release coming out on February 4th. This follows our main character. She is a competitive diver and swimmer in college, and it's her, I guess, journey being an athlete in college while also a romance being involved. I don't want to know much else about that, but it comes out February 4th, and I'm excited about it. Last up on my new releases list, I have Crash Landing by Annie McQuaid. This is a second chance romance story about our 2 main characters who happen to be on the same flight to a destination wedding for someone that they both know. And on their way there, the plane crashes and they have to survive on this island and obviously have a second chance at their romance. Other YouTubers who've had early releases to this have said it was good, and I'm very excited to pick it up. I have not read from this author before, but it seems like it's going to be a really cute time. Before we jump into our last 2 sections of the video, I wanted to go ahead and jump in with a little bit of a self-promo here. So I have joined the Amazon Associates program. This means that there will be Amazon links down below in the description. As an Amazon Associate, I earn from any qualifying purchases made through these links at no extra cost to you. So if you decide you want to pick up any of these books, help a girl out, and use the links down below. But if none of these books are something you're interested in and you still want to support me, please give a like or subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a ton, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And without further ado, let's get back into it. So let's jump into our 5 poetry, and then we'll move on to the 5 series I want to get into. The first 2 poetry I want to read this year involves bettering or developing your soul The first one I have is Watering the Soul by Courtney Pepperneal. The second one I've chosen is Explorations of a Cosmic Soul by Ali Michelle. And the last 3 books of my poetry section involve love. So the first one I got is Love Her While by Atticus. The second one I got for Christmas, which I'm really excited about. This one is Every Day I'll Love You by Feyre Winters. Oh no. That's what it looks like. And the third one is Her Favorite Color Was Yellow by Edgar Holmes. Alrighty, we're on our last section. This is all of the series I either want to continue or I want to start in the new year. The first one I got on the list is Unravel Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the second book in the Shatter Me series. I have read the first book and the first novella, so this is the second book in the series. I think I just want to continue in the series in general. I'm not setting myself up for the whole series to be finished in this 2025 year, but if I do, that's great. But I'm going to set my goal for at least just complete the second one. I feel like that's super reasonable. This series is about a girl who with a single touch can either harm or potentially kill someone, and she is running away from people who want to use her as a weapon because she doesn't want to hurt anyone. And in the midst of that, there is a love triangle romance element to it. Next up, we got Full Measures by Rebecca Yarros. I have only read the Fourth Wing series by Rebecca Yarros, and I am excited to jump into her other books. This one is a romance about a girl who loses her father and a guy who is a hockey player who is helping her deal with that grief. And on the back it also says, until Josh's secret shatters both their worlds. So clearly there's going to be some sort of plot twist or some drama that goes on with that. If I am going to like contemporary, normal, non-fantasy romance, I feel like Rebecca Yarros is a great place to go, and I'm really excited to see what her other novels hold. Next up, we got Scythe by Neal Shusterman. This is a series about our 2 main characters who are learning how to be killers. So in this world, no one dies of old age. So in order to keep the population in control, they have scythes who go around and keep the population in check. And it's them learning that, I think, and also possibly falling in love. I've heard great things about this series, and I'm excited to jump into it this year. Second to last, we got From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So this one is a fantasy story. I assume there is a romance in this, but to be honest, I have no clue what this is about. I've heard great things about it and I really want to jump into it, but to be honest, I really want to go into this blind and just not know anything. It has a couple blurbs on the back from authors I've read from before, and it says it's perfect for fans of Sarah J. Maas, so you really can't go wrong there, hopefully. Yeah, excited about that one, but I am not going to read the synopsis before I jump in. Last up on the 25 books I want to read in 2025 is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I am so beyond grateful. My amazing boyfriend got me this beautiful box set of the Throne of Glass series. I am gonna just put the Throne of Glass book as the book I want to read this year. I do plan to start with the Assassin's Blade before Throne of Glass. Some people have mixed feelings about that, but I think it's going to be the best way to read it for me personally. I would love to get through this entire series this year, but I don't want to pressure myself to do that because I don't want to rush through it. Because if I'm loving it, sometimes if you rush through books too quickly, it can make it not as enjoyable. And if you can believe it, I know nothing about the Throne of Glass series. I have no clue what this series is about. I know there's our main female character, and you don't really know much about her in the first books, which is why if you want to know more about the main character, you would read The Assassin's Blade first to kind of get some more insight on her before you jump into Throne of Glass. Other than it being a Obviously, very popular fantasy series. I know nothing, and I don't want to know anything going in. So I am so excited for this. I am going to be reading this with my best friend, and we are going to be going through each book together, and I'm so excited. We plan to start this after we get through Onyx Storm. We have a great reading year ahead of us. Thank you so much for being here. If you've made it all the way through the end of the video, don't forget to use those affiliate links down below. Give me a like, subscribe, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!